Hey everyone, it's Carter King. If you're an educator, a leader, or just a parent who wants to teach kids about space, check out my newest book, Carter's Journey Through Space. It's available now on Amazon, Target, and bookstores everywhere. Come explore the universe with me.
Welcome to another episode of the Contagious Culture Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle King, and the goal of this podcast is simple: to help you create environments where people thrive. Through real conversations, practical strategies, and powerful stories, we equip leaders, educators, and change makers just like yourself to build cultures rooted in purpose, performance, and authenticity. Because culture isn't something you talk about, it's something you live. This is the Contagious Culture Podcast. Let's get started. Welcome back to another episode of the Contagious Culture Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle King, and the goal of this podcast is simple: to help you create ecosystems and environments where people thrive. Look, I am so excited. I have one of my friends back on the Contagious Culture Podcast. Michelle, how you doing?
Yes, I am fantastic.
It's so good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Catch me up. What's been going on? What's getting you excited these days?
Let's see. Oh, something that's getting me excited is in a week. I am hosting. So I'm in Miami, Florida.
Yes.
So I've been hosting a live event. A lot of the work that I do, obviously in education, center women, because there are many women in teaching, and based on just my experience and from the women I've worked with, these women, high functioning, totally accomplished, productive. I mean, recovering perfectionists like me. We need community, we need space. And so I created the space that I needed when I was really, really in the work and just needed support. And so I host a quarterly event called Rooted and Ready. Rooted in what matters, ready for what's next. It's not a networking event. It's not a workshop. It is a place where we come together and we pause and we are present and we are not on. And we just do things. We reflect. We converse. We share, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful human space. And so I am really excited about my second event coming up next week. So that's going to be so much fun. We're focusing on, every event has a theme or, a question that guides us. Who were you before you were busy? That is our guiding question. Yes, I am.
You remember that person?
I am learning to remember that person as I'm doing the work and as I'm, planning for the event and exposing things that I didn't even know that was happening with me. And I'm really wanting to create this space for the women, but also for me to learn and grow and just to be me. So yes, I am beginning to learn who that person was.
That's
Because
good.
I've been busy all my life. When you come from a background where you're an immigrant, you're a first generation, everything, you carry a lot of weight on these shoulders. And so I have been busy since childhood. Okay. And so, yes, it takes a lot of really going back and digging deep. And I have remembered things that I totally forgot that happened, just doing the work, reflecting and speaking with a therapist and speaking with coaches and women in community. Yeah, I've been remembering.
That's so good. And I think that's such a good place to start in this conversation. Walk us back, for our audience members who are completely new to you. Walk back to who you were before you were busy and then who you are now.
Oh, well, let me see. Okay, so who I was before I was busy. Oh, yes, that's a loaded question because like I said, for me, I've been busy all my life, but who I was before I was busy is playful, creative, super creative, very experimental, spicy. I think I still got a little bit of that.
No, you definitely
I'm thinking about the me who I was when I lived in Jamaica. And when I lived in Jamaica and used to climb mango trees and guinea trees and sit on the roof and eat the fruits and just ride my bicycle all over, the neighborhood, going to my cousin's house and just being just that freedom of not, I don't want to say it like this, but just caring about the moment, just caring about what I'm doing at that time and who I am in that moment.
That's good.
Right. And so for me, who I was before I was busy is being cautious of who I am right now in this moment, being present, um, pausing to recognize my strengths and my abilities and my creativity and what matters to me right now.
Mm.
That's who I am when I'm not busy. And listen, it's also me taking a nap when I need to take a nap.
Definitely. It's so interesting because I find that there's somebody listening right now that is in that unraveling season, right? I'm reading a lot more now. I'm simplifying a lot more now so that I can take time for my family, my loved ones, and even before them, just take time for me. And last
That's
night
it.
it was so beautiful last night. I had a whole lot of things that I could have been doing. Had my computer on the couch and a friend of mine called and then she was like, "Man, it's good to see you just like sitting there watching a movie." And then I turned the camera and I was like, "There's my computer." And then she was like, "I'm getting off the phone and I want you to close your computer." So I
Mhm.
listened, I closed my computer and I sat and just watched like 2.5 hours, 3 hours
Mhm.
of shows. And after that, I just smiled. I was like, I don't remember the last time that I just
Mhm.
enjoyed my night and my time.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
that season, that period of time before busy. And then immediately after that, got ready for bed. And I was like, wow, like
Mhm.
I feel good and I feel ready for the next day.
And you feel lighter, right? You
Yeah.
feel lighter going to bed. Let me tell you, like, my computer is next to me too. I got a little spot in the living room, and I did not open my computer all weekend. And we're always tempted.
Yeah.
And it's not even the computer, it's the act of work. It's the act
Yeah.
of being busy.
Yeah.
And so, my husband was actually out of town this weekend. He had a convention, and it was just me and my dogs.
Mm.
And I just
Good.
I just chilled. I, made dinner. My daughter's in college, so I'm an empty nester. And so it was just me and my dogs just chilling, not doing any kind of work related stuff. I just wanted to be present. I wrote because I love to write.
Yeah.
I, watched some of my shows, caught up on my Beyond the Gates because I was so far behind in Beyond the Gates, y'all. Beyond the Gates is it's a it's on season 2, but it's on CBS. It's a black soap opera.
Okay, okay, okay. So I was
So
like, I
you
haven't
got
heard
you gotta catch that.
that.
But it just makes you feel lighter when you're present with yourself,
Good.
and also when you're listening to you're listening to yourself, but you're also listening to your body. And at the age that I am, I need to listen to my body more
That's
because
good.
when you are in the work, you ignore. That's why you skip lunches. That's why you skip breakfast. That's why you grab something to eat on the way home so you can have something quick for you and your family. That's why when you got a headache or when something is happening, you tell yourself it's easier for me to go to work than to take a day because it's going to create too much for me to do when I'm off,
That's
because
so
that's what we've been conditioned to do,
of course.
right? And so when all of those things, because I'm speaking from experience, 20 years in education, I've taught in one of the largest public schools in the nation for 15 of those years. And let me tell you, when I actually resigned, I got a check for all of the days that I didn't take that I was not expecting. And that
Mm.
was a nice chunk of change. All of the days that I did not take when I needed to take because I was burnt out, tired. And so we get to the point where we are so overwhelmed and so burnt out that you're just autopiloting. You're
Yeah.
just functioning. Like you're just functioning just to function and not feel.
Mm.
And you never want to get like that, because when you stop feeling, that's where that disconnection happens. That's where that disengagement happens.
Yeah.
That's where the relationships are hindered, because without the ability to feel, how are you going to nurture?
What do you like? What do we say to people though? You know, what are the habits? What are the actions? What are the things that people can do to be able to get over this barrier of this curse of busy or this
Hmm.
unhealthy and toxic attachment to work, this fear of letting your head down or your hair down and just relaxing and being and taking time to
Hmm.
feel so that you could really listen to your body. I feel like it's taken me literally over 3 decades for me to
Yeah.
get to this point.
Yeah.
And it's, as you're thinking, it's interesting what you said. Like, it really just to highlight it. Like, you got this great chunk of change when you resigned and when you stepped down on all of the days that you should have taken.
Hmm.
I guess my question also is, I wonder, was that dollar amount more valuable than the days that you needed?
Oh Lord, no, heck no. Because those were days that I could have been with my daughter. Those were days that I could have been with my dogs. Those were days where I could have, actually taken like a vacation. Those were days where I could have went to Jamaica. I'm from Jamaica. Those were days where I could have just had a mental health day instead of just showing up and sitting in, the back of my classroom and giving the kids some busy work. Because yeah, we do that too.
That's good.
Just to show up, just because it is harder for us to be absent than to just be present but not physically present.
Mm,
So no, it was definitely not worth the days that I should have taken, the days where I needed to rest, the days where I needed to regroup and reset, the days where I needed to just recalibrate, because had I done those things, I probably would have showed up better.
that's good.
Yeah.
What is an action that people can do that's they're listening in now?
Um, I will say this, it's hard because you don't recognize it when you're in the work. You just know that I'm overwhelmed, but I'm gonna keep going because I'm high functioning. I
Mhm.
only know productivity,
Exactly.
right? And
Exactly.
so it's hard when you're in the work. I didn't realize I didn't have this lens that I view life from right now until I walked away from the system. It was when I left the school system, and this was, my daughter had already gone to college.
Yeah.
She was a freshman. I was an empty nester. I'm here as an empty nester trying to find myself because I've basically grown up my entire adult life with a child.
Mhm.
I had my daughter when I was 22. So daughter, marriage, everything until she graduated and went to Howard University. And then here I am, me and my husband, we're empty nesters. And I'm like, new career path, because that's
Mhm.
also around the time where I became an entrepreneur. And
Yeah.
here I am like, what do I do with myself now? I don't have this attachment of my child. And so who am I without my daughter? So I took I went on a retreat, and it was a retreat for, for Black women. And it was in that retreat where I learned that your body needed more ways than you think to actually recover and rest.
Really?
I actually got to spend some time with myself. So it was a couple of days, and I created a schedule for myself where I would wake up at 10 o'clock, not at 7 o'clock, not at 5 o'clock. Okay. And I would go to the gym or go on the beach, and I would do like, whatever, my meditation, my quiet time, my exercise, and then I would go, shower and change and get ready for the day, for the learning and the retreat stuff for the day.
Yeah.
And then I would have social time at the, happy hours and social time after the workshop and community building. And so I really like that kind of schedule where I was spending time with me and learning what I liked and what I didn't like. I was also learning content,
That's good.
but I was also building community. And
That's
so
good.
I kind of like that. And I kind of modeled that structure after that, when, after the retreat, in just how I design like my days and how I live, and wanting community and wanting to be around, Black and brown women, and wanting, and just desiring that. And so what I will say to answer the question, I didn't recognize it in the work. I recognize it after the work. It took me being in community to recognize it. It took me being in therapy to recognize it. It took me being with coaches to recognize it. And it took me working through it, through reflection, through heavy reflection,
Yeah.
Years to realize the patterns that were in my life that resulted in me feeling burnt out and overwhelmed and being highly functional, even though beneath the all of the accolades and accomplishments and shining stars, below that was just I don't want to say darkness, but it was dark.
That's
Like
good.
there was nothing, it wasn't, there was nothing below that, because I didn't know who I was below that. I didn't
Mm.
know who I was outside of my degrees. I didn't know who I was outside of my profession.
That's
I
good.
had to relearn who I was as a human being. So I think, if for the people who are like me, who are stuck, who are busy all the time, and yes, you're accomplished, yes, you're highly accomplished, highly successful, you got all of the degrees and all of the certificates, and you keep getting more.
Mm.
Think about what is beneath that. Think about, how would you introduce yourself if you didn't tie it to your career, your role, or your accomplishments?
Mm.
Think about, because I had to learn to introduce who I am as a human being, right?
Mm.
Like, outside of being a mother to Shanda, outside of being a wife to Cordy, outside of being an educator of 20 years, who am I? I love curry chicken and I love curry goat. I love my island of Jamaica. I am a lover of dogs. Like, who are you? Like, who are you underneath that? I love to write. I love certain books. I prefer audiobooks, even though I like to hold the real books. I
Yeah.
actually buy the real books and listen to the audio, like when I'm on the plane. And then I'll go back in the real book and highlight things that stood out.
Exactly.
Like, who are you? Like, what are your likes? Like, who are you as a human being? I love, 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 love being around women and family members and just community. Like, even though, like, I'm an introvert extrovert, like, I like my quiet time, but I
Yeah.
love being in community. Like, who are you outside of the roles, outside of the profession? So I would say, dive into that question. And I would also say to look for patterns. Like, what are some patterns in your life where it just shows that you're producing and you're performing and you're perfecting and you're being productive? What would it look like for you not to do that?
Mm.
What would it look like for you to not attach your worth to what you produce, or not attach your worth to your outcome? I have this post that I'm looking at right here on my computer. It says, I am not attached to the outcome, because let me tell you, that feeling will have you living that life where you're just producing, producing, producing. Because the more you produce, the more you eat the whatever, the outcome, the more you're going to want to just continue to do well for others and not for yourself. So, who are you when you are not attached to the outcome, when you are not attached to what you're producing? That is something that I, like, recently have to remind myself of, that I've recently, like, realized.
There's somebody right now that is literally taking so many notes so quickly because this is so valuable. And I think a lot of times we get caught up in like tactics and strategy that
Yeah.
we don't really just operate from a place of just a safe conversation, a safe space so that we can just, connect. And I think this is so necessary. I believe this is so necessary because we have to first recognize who we are outside and, outside of what we do
Mhm.
for work. Like nowhere in this conversation have we been like, oh, this person has this degree and does this specific work and works with these people, and this is what, she does so that you can pay her. No, it's really talking about values and your experience and your background and your story. And it gives people the lens of just understanding who you are as a person. Let me
Yeah.
ask you this. If there was something about you
Mm-hmm.
that you wish you shared more, but people don't really take the time to ask or consider, what would that be?
Let's see, something that I wish I shared more that people don't take the time to ask. That's such a difficult one because listen, I have been on a healing journey the past couple of years and I done shared my whole life story, y'all. I would say I would definitely want it to be around the weight that I carried as a child, because I never realized how heavy that weight was. And it was it's been till now in my 40s where I've been unpacking. um it's not just being an immigrant, it's a lot of the things that happened in my childhood, moving from a country to a new country, being the first of everything, like I mentioned before. There's a lot to that when you're a girl, when you're in a large family, where you're the first to get any kind of degree, and people are relying on you. But not only that, I got pregnant with my daughter senior year of college. That messed me up. I am the golden child, and here I am, pregnant with my daughter. And people don't understand what that did to me. I understand it now, but people don't understand how that shifted my trajectory, because all I wanted to do was prove everybody wrong. And all of the degrees I got, all of the accomplishments, it was tied to that because I didn't want to fail anyone or didn't want to be seen as a failure, because for me, I thought getting pregnant in college was a failure, especially when your family sends you off and you're like, you're gonna come save the family. So I,
100.
I I think that part of it is I never talked about that until recently. And I think that part of it will reveal so much about me and so much about how I've shifted and so much about the blessing that my daughter is about to graduate Howard University in May, right? And so I think that that is what I would want to have more conversations about, because there's a lot of shame in that story that I realize now that could help others, but it turned into blessings.
Let's talk about it. Look, I think a lot of times we skate over conversations and we'll bring them up, but we don't really have the space to go deep.
Let me
Let's
get
talk
my
about
water, child.
it. Nah, look, I got my smoothie over here too, so I'm good. I think that's such a powerful story. And the beautiful thing is that there's I ask questions sometimes that I wish someone would ask me, because in my reflection time, I'm like, oh man, this is a good one. And then I'll write down my own answers to the own questions that you ask. But I'd love for you to expound on that more and really talk about the lessons or the testimony that's there as well.
Oh gosh, yeah. So senior year, college, my husband and I, we met in college, been together ever since, so over 20 something years. And yeah, I got pregnant in college and I was devastated because here I am senior year about to graduate and I'm like, yes, I'm almost there. And I'm like, how will I tell my family that I'm pregnant and that I am, it wasn't going to affect my graduation because I had been done with all my course. I was pretty much set. Like it wasn't going to affect me getting a degree, but it was still me coming home with a baby. Right? And so I was really afraid because I felt like I was kind of sent off, as the first person in my family to go to college. I was on scholarship, all of those things. And I'm like, I am a disappointment. I am coming back a failure. How could this happen? Like how could I let this happen? And so that's how I am like talking to myself and you know I never let that be seen or let that be known because I am a strong one. All I let be seen and known is I'm going to do everything I can to not have anybody even have that glimmer of thinking about me in that negative way. And so,
Hey, it's Kyle. Sorry to interrupt your programming, but I got a quick culture check for you. How's your team's energy right now? I mean, literally, right now. Are people feeling inspired? Or are they just showing up? See, here's the truth. Culture doesn't change because we talk about it. It changes because we live it actively every single day. And that's what I help organizations do. Build contagious cultures that people actually want to be a part of. Through keynote talks, interactive trainings, and hands-on consulting, I help leaders transform the way their teams connect, perform, and grow. So if your culture needs a little bit of spark, let's light it up together. Visit theculturelab.org, again, theculturelab.org, or connect with me directly on LinkedIn at Kyle S. King to learn more about how we can work together. Because remember, your culture is contagious. Make it worth catching. Now let's get back to the program.
told my family, they were excited because they love babies. And so they were like, yeah, come on, blah, blah, blah. Yes, come home, whatever. So came home back to Miami, had my daughter, and we were surrounded by family and just so much support. That's a whole nother thing too. That was a whole nother thing that I'll talk about. But I was strong and I was highly functional and highly productive that entire time. Started teaching, moved up, I'm a teacher. I'm doing everything that I need to do, that I can, to be the best teacher, rookie teacher of the year, earning got a master's degree, like right there in my first year of teaching, started a master's program, got another master's degree, got a specialist degree. I mean, got certification, anything that you can think of that made me kind of check all the boxes, because I was trying to prove. It was more me trying to prove to myself that I was not the failure that I thought that I was.
That's so good.
And it didn't even, people probably didn't even look at me that way, but I looked at me that way, and I was trying to prove to me that I wasn't that. So I was getting when I tell you I check all the boxes, y'all, go look at my profiles. I do. I am not saying that to be cocky. I am saying that because I was doing all of those things to not feel like the failure that I thought that I was. And I didn't need to.
What did it take though for you to go from that mindset to your newfound mindset?
It took therapy. I mean, it didn't come to me until, again, I'm in my 40s, my daughter's off to college, I'm alone, I'm only spending time with me, and I am trying to unpack who I am. And I'm with coaches and with my therapist. And so through, like you, through reflection, through answering questions, through looking back and remembering, like, that's how I realized that that's how I lived my entire adult life. And I can't keep going like this. Like, I need to live for the me before I was busy, not the me that was trying to prove that I'm not a failure.
That's good.
So yeah, I definitely, therapy helped. I still see a therapist. It is just, for me, I think therapy is just one of those things that you don't know, it especially in certain communities, it has like a stigma, and I feel like it just should be a part of your routine, your mental health routine, your health routine. I just feel like it should be, because it doesn't have to be something that you're fixing to have a therapist. It doesn't. You could just be talking through something just to understand a different perspective or understand it a little bit deeper. You don't have to be fixing anything.
I wonder why. I mean, society now does a better job promoting mental health, obviously, because of what we see in the challenges that people experience. But I wonder why it's not as prominent and as important as it should be, where your health isn't just going to the gym or eating healthy. Your health
Mhm.
also this like really breaking down this myth of being strong is keeping everything inside versus being strong is having the courage and boldness to express when you need help or when you
Mm.
feel shame or when you feel embarrassment and having the tools to really unpack and unveil so that you can really be able to propel yourself forward. And it's a journey. It really is.
Yeah.
It, what I've recognized is me doing the work internally has really helped me to show up better in my business, though.
Yes,
Are you finding that?
100%. Oh, 100%. That's why, you had asked me the question about the money that I got from my days that I didn't take, was that worth it? It wasn't worth it because I would have shown up better had I actually taken the days to be better. So when I'm better internally, I am better showing up to anything that I do. Anything where I'm doing something in the spirit of excellence. I cannot be doing something in the spirit of excellence and do my best work if I'm not better internally, if my mind is clouded, if my emotions are just shot, if I'm confused and I don't have clarity. I cannot do my best work when the things on the inside are not right, are shaky. And so I'm okay with telling people that I'm selfish. I'm selfish. So yeah, I'm gonna go take a nap. I'm gonna go for the weekend go on a staycation up there on the beach. I will do those things for myself. I'm going to have a girls night out. I am going to hang out with my cousins. Listen, I will go and take my time to reset, recalibrate, because I know that on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday, when I have to be with people and when I have to show up for people because people are depending on me in that way, I need to be my best, most present self. And I cannot do that if I don't do the inner work. So
Exactly.
if I need to say, listen, my Mondays and my Fridays, let me tell y'all, I have me time Mondays and I have freedom Fridays, and that's how I schedule my week. Me time Monday means I get to choose what I want to do on Monday. And Monday is just for me if I want to sit there and watch Beyond the Gates, if I want to watch reruns of Criminal Minds, if I want to just chill with my dogs and take naps all day, and I want to cook. And that is my me time on a Monday, because there are some days on the weekend where I'm doing stuff, with organizations and things like that. And I may be, maybe I'm teaching a class virtually or doing some kind of speak something. There might be some times where I'm doing stuff on the weekends, but my Mondays are locked. And then Freedom Friday. So when I was in the classroom, I was a language arts teacher, high school, and I implemented this thing called Freedom Friday because the students wanted to read books that were not, our required books. And so I would do Freedom Fridays and I would have them bring an approved novel or book that they would read on the Fridays, and we would have Socratic seminar to talk about themes throughout the books. And that's how we kind of culminated it. So everybody was reading a different text, but we looked at the overlapping themes and characters, things like that. So I called it Freedom Fridays because they got the choice. And so, listen, I have a Freedom Friday in my adult schedule now because on Fridays, I choose what I want to do. So, do I want to go to this event? Do I want to actually leave my house? Do I want to work outside in the yard? Do I want to do some decorating and do some scrapbooking? Like, what is it that I want to choose to do on Fridays? It is not going to be a meeting, though. It's not going to be like a work related meeting. It is going to be something that I choose to do. So I say all of that to say those are moments for me to do me so that I can show up better for the students and the learners and all of the people that I support on the other days, all of my clients and things like that.
I appreciate you sharing that so much because I think We've normalized helping and sewing and supporting other people so much that we never really inconvenience ourselves for ourselves and recognize that, look, we have to fill our own cup. We have to fill our
Yeah.
own tank. We have to recharge before we could be able to give other people power, in a sense.
Oh, I love that. Yes, absolutely.
And it's such necessary work. So, for somebody that's locked into this conversation as much as I am, because this is such a great conversation. What is the work that you're doing, and why is the work that you're doing so necessary?
So, yes, let's talk about the actual work now. So ultimately, I help educators and leaders understand why disengagement happens in their spaces. Disengagement is not it's not a problem. It's more of a system signal, and I help them understand why that happens. And also how to design environments that reshape how the people are experiencing, the learning or the work in those spaces. There's three things that align with that, like uh the three C's: clarity, courage, and care, because I want people to show up with clarity, just like I show up with clarity. I want people to connect on a human level through care, and I want people to lead and to learn with courage, because when you're able to do those things, you're able to do your best work. Yeah.
Clarity, courage, and care. I love that. Now,
Hmm.
is it in order in that same way, or is there priority on one versus the other? Like, how do you go about servicing organizations and doing this work? And what would that look like?
Yeah. So no, it's not in that order, because when you're talking about those three things: clarity, courage, and care, uh, they can reflect in so many different ways. So one of the ways that I support schools and educational leaders is through a professional development series that's centered around the equal methodology, which is a framework that I use in my company. And so the equal methodology, think of it as just like 5 dimensions of human centered approaches and practices that really disrupt disengagement. Um, it's grounded in research. Obviously, those things stem research and practice. It stems from my years in education. It stems from my research that I continue to do, not just for my dissertation, but that's just continuing on. It translates the lived experience into evidence-based action, and it really, really helps with fostering belonging and relevance and rigor in the spaces where our people are, where our learners are. Um, and so the equal methodology, again, it has five dimensions, 5 principles. And so I could briefly tell y'all real quick.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, so the E is to evaluate. And what we're doing with evaluating is we are evaluating context, because disengagement is not just about what's on the surface. We have to look beneath the behavior. And so we're evaluating the context to see what's beneath that disengagement behavior, or the quietness, because disengagement is sometimes quiet too. So there's that evaluate, then there's qualify. So how are we qualifying the learning and the learning that's happening? So it's pushing the educators and the leaders to really examine, what does rigor look like? What does relevance look like? What does responsiveness, culturally responsiveness looks like? What does it mean to make your content reachable so all students can access the meaning and the mastery that's needed? And then the U is uplifting belonging, because the one thing that I will tell you that stands out the most about my research and disengagement is that disengagement is self protection. Disengagement is self-protection, because students, learners, both students and adults alike, when they feel unsafe, unseen, undervalued, that's when that self-protection, that's when those walls go up. We see it in the workplace. As an adult in an institution, that's happened to me,
Oh,
right?
100%. Yeah.
Yep. And so how can we center emotional safety and identity, affirming identity and just human connection? That's what that uplifting belonging is about. And then the A is, I love this one because it's about community. This is activating collaboration. One of the things that I tell all of the early career teachers and emerging educators that that I have the pleasure of teaching as a professor is, you are not in this alone. You can create a success team of stakeholders. That's what I call it, a success team of stakeholders when you are in the classroom, and you get to decide who's on that success team, because collaboration is so important. I think that, and I know that disengagement is persistent when we are in solitude. And so this dimension reminds us that we have to activate collaborative practices. We have to, in order for us to flourish, we need support from different people in our ecosystem. We need to create that community of care. And the last one is leverage. The L is leveraging evidence. This part is, when we look at data, when we look at assessment, when we look at technology, when we look at feedback, when we look at reflection, all of those things, like, what does that evidence tell us? What does that data tell us? Because we are using that data to measure, as well as to I would say, sustain the work, the good work that we need to do. That data is going to drive us, but that data comes in many forms. It's not just assessment. It's also reflection. It's also, what patterns are we seeing from the behaviors, from the lack of behaviors, from we have to look at everything and get data from it.
I really wish this model existed when I was teaching 8th grade ELA. So much, because I extend this to not just classrooms. I believe that this could be in nonprofit organizations and L&D departments of corporations and government associations. There's so many ways that I feel like, I love what you said earlier. Disengagement is self-protection. Like, I love that so much. Where can people get this information? Because I just want to go buy a book or buy a workbook, or just hire you immediately. Where can people identify or access this information that you just broke down?
Absolutely. So I have, the easiest way is to connect with Michelle.com. And then once you go to connectwithmichelle.com, there is a whole website on the Equal Methodology Professional Development Program.
That's
A
easy.
whole entire website. Okay. And so the first step is connecting with me, and then we can, once you connect with me on connectwithmichelle.com, then you'll get all of the deets and all of the ways that we could stay connected, and all of the resources, all of my thought leadership, all the articles and things that I've written. Connectwithmichelle.com is the easiest way to do this, because you'll also be able to get a link to my scheduler, and we can hop on a call, because with this work, I cannot stress how important relationships are.
That's
I
good.
want to know about you. I want to know about the people that you serve, because that's going to make me serve them better. I'm not just going to show up without knowing any backstory or context. And so
Exactly.
I always hop on a couple calls to get to know what's happening in your organization before I come in to do any work, because that's the human aspect of things.
What would be your message to that leader that's been listening in this whole time that wants to do this work, doesn't know where to start, but just needs some encouragement to get the ball rolling?
Yeah, I would say that there is hope and there's possibility. I know it sounds cliche, but it is. It is. It may seem like there's so much not going the way that you want it to go, but you just may be looking at it through the wrong lens. And you may need somebody to come in and identify those blind spots that you're just not able to see from your, from your chair where you are. And as someone who has been in the classroom, been in the district space, been in the nonprofit, because a lot of my clients are nonprofit, been in the Fortune 500 world, I see things from a lot of different lenses, y'all. And so it may just take that perspective to come in and say, hey, have you tried that? Or what about this? And so just know that there is help out there, that there is a way out there. And there is a way to redesign environments so that that environment is fitting and supportive of the people that you serve.
Michelle, this has been an amazing conversation. Amazing conversation. And I'm just so thankful for the beginning, especially because you shared so much of your heart. And it's interesting because once you shared your heart and you were vulnerable and you shared that story, it leaned into how you became such a great educator and created spaces and ecosystems where engagement was the culture of
Mhm.
classroom. And then from there, now you're lifting up other organizations to be able to create the same framework that you use in front of students, but with colleagues, with employees, with partners, with stakeholders all
Yeah.
across the world. And it's just such a beautiful thing. How can we support you? Where can we find you outside of connectwithmichelle.com? And how can we continue to amplify your own voice?
Well, definitely on LinkedIn. I share lots of perspectives and things on LinkedIn. So I always ask for insight. So connecting with me and engaging with me on LinkedIn. I, when I have articles that are published, I'll share those as well. So, reading and sharing those articles, especially for the audience they're written for. Lots of times I write for teachers because I'm a teacher at heart. Like, I'm a forever ELA teacher. I tell people all the time,
100%.
you can never take that from me. I will forever be an ELA teacher.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that LinkedIn for sure would be another way to connect with me and really engage and have conversations in LinkedIn. I am, if you're in Miami, you can come out to Rooted and Ready. Rootedandreadyevents.com is the website for Rooted and Ready if you're in Miami. And if you want to fly into Miami, hey, everybody needs a Miami vacation. So
Everybody.
listen, you might want to just come out for my event and then just enjoy the rest of the week here. So you could
Definitely.
do that too. But yes, connectwithmichelle.com, LinkedIn, and Rooted and Ready events. I want to say this last thing because it's something that we're kind of taught in our profession, that when something is not working, we have to push harder.
Yeah.
You right? And so in this work, post leaving the school district and finding self, I will say that I've learned that education and even leadership for me is not about pushing harder. And I don't mean when I say pushing harder, I mean pushing myself harder as well as pushing others harder. For me, it's not about that. Like I have restructured how I think about productivity. And I think about productivity more now as connection, as presence, as wholeness. The humanity is what's the foundation of what productivity is for me. It's not about pushing myself harder or pushing others harder. I'm not saying that we shouldn't work hard, but I'm saying we should put that humanity first, connection with others, connection with self, being present for ourselves, but being present while we're with others, those that we serve, and being whole. Like when you're whole, you're honest. When you're whole, you're you, and when you are authentic and you show up for others in that way. So it works both ways. It works for you and it works for the people you serve. And that's just the best way. That's the best gift you can give those that you serve, is to just be you.
Anybody listening, just be you. Go be authentic. Go be yourself. Remember that you don't have to add more. Once you identify who you are, operate at your best in that way. Michelle, this has been such a rich conversation. Anybody listening in, one of the questions that we also ask is, what type of culture are you spreading? The energy you bring is the culture you create. Go make yours worth catching. We'll see you all next episode. Thanks for tuning in to the Contagious Culture Podcast. If this episode challenged or inspired you, hey, take a second to share it with someone who's building culture in their world. Make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a review. It helps more leaders, educators, and change makers just like yourself join the movement. You can connect with me on LinkedIn or YouTube at Kyle S. King for more tips, tools, and methodologies to be able to help you create this ecosystem of absolute excellence. Until next time, lead boldly, live intentionally, and remember, your culture is contagious. Make it worth catching.